Hi everyone, it's Suey here. I'm doing a tag today for Tag Tuesday. This is the banned books tag done by Katrina at Ms. Peepers-Reading-Corner. She was the one that also tagged me, and this is about banned books, as the title says. I'm just going to get right into it. First prompt is, do you intentionally read banned books? Why or why not? So I feel like I could go both ways on this question. I don't necessarily intentionally read them, but they often end up being on my TBR. I know a year or so ago, there was a big push. We did the 24 and 24 challenge, a lot of people did, and I knew I wouldn't get that many read, but I tried to read as many as I could. So I was intentionally reading them then. Sometimes I might intentionally try to read them, like for book club, we might say, okay, in September we have banned books week, so let's read a banned book in September. We've done that in the past. So that's kind of intentionally reading them. But most of the time I don't really realize what books are banned, and I'm just reading them as part of my normal lineup, which means I'm not intentionally reading them, I'm accidentally reading them, right? So it kind of goes both ways for me. I do want to seek out some banned books and read them. I do have a few here on my shelf have been banned or challenged that I want to read. And sometimes I don't really realize if they have been, and they just end up getting read also. I don't avoid them, so I guess that could be kind of intentional too. I don't know. I'm making that question way harder than it should be, but that's what I'm thinking is like I don't necessarily intentionally read them, but I don't avoid them. And sometimes I do intentionally read them. Oh my gosh. Okay. Number 2, tell us about your favorite banned book. Well, I had to look up The Book Thief. It's my favorite book of all time. And according to the Google, it said that it has been challenged, not necessarily outright banned. And I think a lot of books that we talk about as banned are technically challenged. So there's a little bit of difference between banned and challenged, but I think we all lump them together into one category. So The Book Thief has been challenged, so that would be my favorite because it's my favorite book of all time. Also, when I looked up the list, The Kite Runner was on that list, which is also another very favorite book. So I would maybe add that one. And then the other one that I saw on that list, I'm going to save for prompt 4. So we'll get to that in a minute. Number 3, share a story about book banning. I don't know if I necessarily have a story particularly about this. I remember having a discussion with someone in my family once about book banning, and this person thought that it was so terrible of me to be promoting banned books. And I remember having my eyes opened at that point, realizing that we don't all feel the same about this, and that there are people in my life who are fine with this whole book banning, book challenging thing. And I was just kind of blown away by that and really realized that maybe my whole idea of we don't have the right to tell people what they can and cannot read is not a universal opinion. That was kind of an eye-opening moment for me. That was quite a few years ago. I guess that's a little bit of a story. I don't know. It always just makes me like, wow, when I realize that there are people who, and a lot of people probably around me, since I'm in a state that bans books, that don't necessarily think it's a terrible thing. And that makes me crazy. I don't know. Okay, now here's number 4. Which book would you memorize to save it from censors? Kind of like what happens in Fahrenheit 451 when they start memorizing books. For me, I think this would be To Kill a Mockingbird. So this one is often on the lists and has been challenged over the years. And I really, really, really think that this book should be saved from censors, should it ever come to that. That would be an interesting endeavor to memorize that book, right? But anyway, that's my choice for that one. Let's make sure that one does not go away. Are there any books that challenge your opinions on book banning? And that says, be honest, be honest. So I'm guessing that this one means like maybe books that I've read or that I haven't read, but that I'm a little wary of, that I wouldn't mind if they were banned. Is that what this means? Like maybe I understand if people want to ban them. So last year when we were doing the banned reading challenge, I read Forever by Judy Blume. And I love Judy Blume and her books are great. It feels weird to say this, but I read that book and I did not like it at all. I thought it was just kind of a very shallow book. Maybe the reason I felt very unemotionally attached to that book is part of the point of it. I don't know. But I really didn't like it, and I did find it to be a little too much for my taste. So I can see why maybe parents would not want their kids to read that book. If this is what the question means, something that's challenging your own idea about banned books. Yes, a book shouldn't be banned, but I can see where parents and some people might want to avoid certain books, and where parents would be worried about certain books. That's what I'm trying to say. Another one that I thought of that's always on the list is 50 Shades of Grey. I have never read that book. I have no intention to read that book. I know I would hate that book. And when I see it on the banned books list, I kind of go, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I guess I don't know. Is that what we're trying to talk about here? There are books that are being banned and challenged where I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to stay away from that one. But the whole point of the whole banned books thing is if I decide to stay away from certain books and I don't want to read them, that's okay. I'm not telling anyone else that they have to stay away from it too. And I'm also not saying to parents, hey, you have to make your kids read these books. But I am saying to parents that are worried about this, you can say your kid that you don't want your kids to read certain books, but you can't tell anyone else that their kids can't read them, or that they can't read them, or that nobody can read them. So having an opinion on certain books that you are like, yeah, I don't really think that's a great book, does not mean that we should ban them. I hope I am making sense here. And I think that's the last question for this banned books tag. Tag others, it says. I feel like so many people have done this one. So if you haven't done it yet, then consider yourself tagged. I know Banned Books Week has passed, but we are always talking about it, and it's always a relevant conversation. So I guess it doesn't matter that I'm a little bit late to this one. I feel like I went through that one pretty fast. It's pretty straightforward how I feel and how most of us on here feel. So yeah, I just want to say my piece about it again, and let's hope that we don't find ourselves in a world like Fahrenheit 451 and other books that talk about this thing. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.